Right now, politicians in DC are engaged in a philosophical debate over the federal budget. Some want to cut government spending, but refuse to eliminate tax breaks for the super rich and corporations. The fact is, this taxes versus spending argument is largely meaningless. They're really two sides of the same coin. Tax breaks are a form of spending. When someone gets a tax break or a deduction, then instead of paying all of the tax that they would normally owe to the government, they keep this amount. This is called a tax expenditure, because in essence the government is spending money on that tax break. The other kind of spending pays for programs and services like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, and public safety. The government pays for these programs by collecting taxes and then spending that tax money to pay directly for these programs and services. The bottom line for the budget is exactly the same. Whether it's tax expenditures or programs and services, they are both forms of spending. The problem with spending through the tax code is that the super rich and corporations benefit disproportionately. For example, there are deductions for corporate jets and yachts, things that the average American doesn't even own. This is because special interest lobbyists have made our tax system incredibly lopsided. Some corporations don't even pay federal taxes. On the other hand, spending on programs and services is more fair because everyone benefits. Each year, the government spends about $148 billion on corporate tax breaks. That doesn't even include the billions of dollars in loopholes and tax breaks for the super rich. That's more than the cost of all sorts of vital programs and services. Things like cancer research, infectious disease control, public safety, disaster relief, student financial aid, school improvement programs, and road repair. Some politicians refuse to acknowledge this massive spending through the tax code. They claim that cutting tax breaks and closing loopholes is a tax increase, when it's really a reduction in government spending. In order to balance the budget, they want to cut vital programs and services that Americans rely on, instead of cutting special interest tax breaks for big corporations and the super rich. And this is despite the huge amount of unfair tax breaks that we could get rid of without hurting ordinary taxpayers. Tax breaks like offshore tax shelters, tax breaks for shipping jobs overseas, tax breaks for NASCAR racetrack owners, private security, carried individual referral of overseas, accelerated depreciation, domestic production. The list goes on and on. One tax break gives some $50 million a year to owners of golf courses. For just that $50 million, 6,000 children could attend Head Start next year. And that's just one small example of many tax breaks and loopholes. Imagine what we could do with the $583 billion that we spend every decade on tax breaks for US corporations that keep their profits overseas. So when politicians say that we need to cut spending, they need to focus on cutting the runaway spending that's already in the tax code.
Let's tell Congress that it's time to stop the giveaways.